Hey everybody, welcome to the Houseplant Coach. This is Veronica with Oh Happy Plants, and I am here to make an announcement mainly. I am going to be looking for some people that will be okay with me videotaping our conversation and using the video in whatever way I need to, basically, whether it's, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, or putting everything on YouTube. I want to... Because I'm no longer doing consultation, I cut that out because I can't do the single meeting scheduled in the middle of my day where I need to be out in the dirt shed doing all sorts of other things. If you know anything about ADHD, or if you have it, then you know that one meeting where you have to change your entire workflow to fit this in can interrupt your entire day in terms of how much you get done in the surrounding hours. It doesn't make sense to neurotypicals as far as I can tell. But it's, just to have to come in from outside, get on a Zoom call, and by outside, I mean the dirt shed, my garages, but, get on a Zoom call or, be in an area what if I have to do errands that day, then I have to make sure and be home at a certain time to hop on a Zoom call for 30 minutes or something like that. Some of them are only 15, and just to have that one little thing on my schedule is enough to make the rest of my day just kind of, I don't know. I don't like to have my flow interrupted. And so I just decided to stop doing the, pay by the hour consults. And it's been really freeing. And I loved doing them, but I wouldn't have a full day booked full of them. It would just be one here and there. And it just is too interrupting. And so instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is try to work with people one-on-one in their homes here in Tacoma for free, videotape the whole shebang, and then put it online so you can learn from it. I see the same problems over and over and over, and I see weird little problems once in a while too, and those are really fun to try to figure out. One time there was a begonia that stopped variegating, and I'm like, this feels like a light issue. Let me go do some digging. And sure enough, it was. And so with these episodes, videos, I can do that. I can pause the camera, go do some digging, do my whole process, and then start it up again and explain the whole situation. And that feels more useful to me, not only to have that, but then to make a bigger impact, to have it recorded and available to everybody. It feels more useful than just, charge by the hour one-on-one plant care advice. And I care more about the impact that I make. Not more than supporting myself financially, obviously, because I have a kid to feed and all of that. But in terms of the informational side of things, I will be putting out some courses. I do have one PDF right now that I charge for, and I will have some more in terms of really good, well put together linear information where it's forcing my brain to go from point A to point Z without going off the rails all over the place. So I'm going to have some of that. That's if you're wondering about she's going to start charging for courses. Well, she puts it all out for free. Why would I pay for that? It's because it's going to be fucking linear and, more, even more useful. So, and it's going to be more in depth, the flow of the info and the depth of the explanations and everything. Sorry, I've barely had half a cup of coffee right now. But so I am going to be doing that because obviously we get to support ourselves. We get to be paid well for the work that we do. That is the goal. It's not the goal of capitalism, but fuck capitalism. I think y'all know that where I stand on that. Let me let me just tangent for a minute here. This is what I'm talking about. This is non-linear. So tangent for a minute. I hear people who own a plant shop, like a small business owner who owns a plant shop, talking about capitalism in relation to what they are doing. That's not capitalism. You employ people. You care about your employees. Yes, you make money. But I would argue that the person working for like piddly wages at Walmart or Target or one of those big box stores, working for some conglomerate with shareholders, that person is more of a capitalist than a small business owner, because that person is a cog in the capitalism machine where they are being taken advantage of. This person who can barely pay their rent, who has to have a roommate, who can't afford a place on their own, that is capitalism, because someone is taking advantage of them and they are within that system. The small business owner, like any of you who own small businesses out there, I hope you pay your employees well. I hope you figured out how to do this so that you can maximize everyone's lifestyle. That's what I want for every small business owner out there, because I want to make, honestly, if we all started a business, or if, any of us who ever had the inkling, any of us who ever had the drive started a business and figured out a way to do it so they could pay a fair wage, so their employees could actually afford, cost of living and, and fun. Like, we're not here to just be slaves to our job. We're here to fucking live, right? Like, a sack of meat gets haunted, wakes up, a bunch of carbon and hydrogen and whatever the fuck else, wakes up, looks around and says, oh, let me just go and participate in drudgery forever. No, that's not what we're here for. Like, we have the capacity for awe, for like awe-inspiring experiences. We have the capacity for ridiculous thought. That's what we're here for. We have the capacity for play. So anyway, I tangent. I hear the occasional small business owner talking about capitalism, and I also hear the occasional small business owner talking about how they only charge enough so they can make a little smidge of money and just barely scrape by. And neither of those is the case. If you own a small business, you're not a capitalist. And if you barely make enough money to scrape by, I'm just going to say it's time to make a little more so you're not scraping so much. You deserve to live in a space of expansion and not in a space of fear and lack. We're not here for that shit. This life is magic. We are not here to make piddly little wages that we can't ever take a vacation on. Y'all deserve better than that. And I'm fed up with the whole system of, like, I've said it before, a squirrel doesn't look at a nut and say, oh, I don't deserve that. A squirrel doesn't look at an entire fucking oak tree and say, oh, I'll just take one. They're like, I'm going to bury that shit. I'm going to forget where it is, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to bury it because I want to hide it from everybody else. And it's not even a competition necessarily. Like, I know that nature is nature and blah, blah, blah. But in this world, it's not a competition. In the human world, people make it into a competition. We don't need to be scared that somebody else is getting what we have. We don't need to respond out of threat or fear. There's plenty of fucking oak trees. We can make our own oak trees. Oh, happy plants, the whole concept did not exist before I invented it. There were barely any specialty soils on the market, and there's still nothing like I'm doing. Not that I've seen. There are some soils that have like worm castings and mycelial inoculant, but there's nothing like what I'm doing. I invented this shit. And, other people are doing similar things because obviously the products that I use are available on the market, some of them. But a lot of these products I just came up with myself. like the base ingredients even, I had to put it all together myself. And all that takes is some research. You could do the same thing with whatever thing you're interested in. And all of that has provided me an income and has provided other people an income too in terms of hiring. And I just want you to believe that there's more available to you. And yeah, it takes some work, but honestly, and I tell people I feel half retired, even though I work a lot. Like yesterday, oh my God. Yesterday I built this giant shelf. I call it a shelf, but that's funny because the shelf is a 4x8 foot sheet of plywood. It's basically a raised platform to store extra shit out in my shed. And I had a bark shipment coming in. So if you're getting like pallet orders of crap, you need to be able to store it. And so I needed to be able to lift up the vermiculite because vermiculite is pretty lightweight. I'm not stacking entire 500, 600, 700 pound pallets of bark up over my head. That doesn't seem very smart. But I built this shelf for the vermiculite because I have when you're ordering, I don't know how many fucking yards of vermiculite at a time, you need a place to put it. And if you have limited square footage in your sheds, then you just need to go up. So yesterday I spent all day doing that. And my God, at the end of the day, I was just like, ugh. It was ridiculous. I came inside and I was just like, oh my God, I need a shower. And so I made my son some tacos because it was the last day of school and he helped me a bunch. He helped me holding things so I didn't drop massive beams on myself. So shout out to Silas. Silas is as tall as me now, by the way. He's 13. And I'm just like, yeah, I think this is about when I hit my full height, except Silas is not at his full height yet, I don't think. He's probably going to be over 6 foot. And so I've been preparing for this for a little while. Any parents of kids this age, oh my God. It's weird, isn't it? It's so weird. But, yeah, I've been preparing myself, emotionally for a while. I've been you're going to be taller than me soon. You're going to be taller than me soon. And then one day I'm just he was like, let's measure our heights. And so we measure against the wall and the lines are the same. And I'm like, wait, fuck, are we kidding right now? Let's do it again. And we did it again. And sure enough, and I'm like, okay, we got to take a picture. Today's the day. You're as tall as me. It's all downhill from here, or uphill for him. But no wonder he's eating so much. So anyway, I come in, feed my kid, take a cold shower because it was 85 yesterday. And that's the day, of course, that I decided to get this bark delivery. And I got more. So I got, side note, a few announcements. I have sphagnum now, just long strand sphagnum for filling moss poles and stuff like that. I have that I'll make available. I have a special type of sphagnum that I'm going to be using for our carnivorous plant soil. I've been experimenting with it, but I specifically got this other type because it looks glorious to work with, the whole idea. And it takes, it removes all the sticks. And so it's really clean and nice to work with. So, then by sticks, I also mean the inner pieces, the stems, I guess. I don't actually know the parts of moss. I want to go look that up, but I'm not going to right now. As soon as I say that, I'm like, but Veronica, you need to. My brain cannot handle not knowing something when I'm curious about it. It's welcome to ADHD or whatever, being on the spectrum. I don't know what it is, but which little fiddly bit in there needs to know things. But yeah, so it's going to be really fun. So if you know what the stem in the middle of moss is, congratulations, you're smarter than me. I'm going to go look it up after this. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be putting out a carnivorous plant blend. I've been experimenting with a couple of things for a while now, and I'm going to take all that information that I've gathered and put it into, probably I'll make a couple of different types just to test them out, even though I've been playing with it for a while now. So that'll be coming out. I'm not sure when. I may just tweak the current recipe because it's working really well. So it might be pretty soon. It might not be till like the end of summer. But I have that going on. I have a couple of mixes that are designed to be used in a terrarium, like a reptile enclosure. I've been working with a gal who raises chameleons, I want to say. And we're working on, because the tanks, the enclosures have like sprayers, misters in them. And so we're working on a system that has two varieties of soil, one that holds a lot of water for the plants that are not in the line of the misters, and then one that drains really, really well for the plants that are in the line of the misters. Working on that. Oh, and also on the pallets I got yesterday, I got a load of tree fern fiber too. I had only bought a couple of bags at a time previously because I was just starting to launch the Hoya mix, but now I'm finding there's quite a few people who are looking for tree fern fiber because it's kind of, I mean, it's not a new thing, but it's not really widely available. And so I'm like, let me just make that available as a substrate in the store. So I'm going to be putting that up as soon as I get labels designed. I may take today off of manual labor and do that, but honestly, it's not super sunny or hot out today, so I may be back out in the dirt shed because it's like I ripped that ripped that sucker apart to reorganize everything. We had to move an entire pallet of cocoa chip blocks and like load it into the new shelf to get it out of the way, basically to build the new shelf. But yeah, it looks really good. Drumstick was very helpful, and by that I mean he was getting his butt in the way of things. Oh yeah, I said your name, sir. He looks at me. Getting his butt in the way because he wanted his dinner. So, because he's baby. And also he wanted to sniff everything. He's like, oh mom, you're moving these pallets? Okay, let me sniff underneath them. He's got to do his little patrols. Make sure there's no little rodents under there or whatever. He's very helpful. Chasing the rats away. If there are rats. I think they're all gone now, though. But anyway, this is like outside the shed. Okay. Where was I? You deserve to be paid well. If you're a small business owner, you're not technically a capitalist unless your goal is to take advantage of people and screw people over. We're in end stage capitalism right now. You know, this is like the shit before the fall, where the people on top that make the rules, you know, that pay the government to make the rules and are collecting all the money in their giant pockets. They're doing that because they know that it's all going to come crashing down. Like this is not a sustainable system where you keep the masses in this complete, you know, this scurry, you know, everybody's scurrying around to make ends meet. And this is what happened right before everybody killed the freaking French royalty, right? So like, hopefully there's not as much bloodshed, but we do need that kind of change and shift. People are like, bring back the guillotine. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's kind of messy. But I see your point. Anyways, I am not encouraging murder. I think that's the announcements, though. Oh, yeah, the shelf. I was talking about the shelf because I'm like, yeah, it does take some work to do this shit. I was so tired yesterday. But really, the reason this started... Sorry, I'm just fucking rambling right now. This is why I don't do podcasts before coffee. Because I have no focus at all and no chill. So, the whole point of this is to let you know that I will need people in the Tacoma area. And I'm going to try to keep it close. I live pretty much smack in the middle of Tacoma. If you know where McClendon Hardware is on Pearl Street, let's say within a couple mile radius of that. I don't want to be driving out to like Frederickson for all of this. Like, unless a person has a huge ass plant collection, I would go out there for that probably. But if anybody wants in on this, anybody in the Tacoma area wants in on this, and no, before anybody asks, I'm not going to be doing this via Zoom. This needs to be an in-person thing. So, and no, I don't want to drive to Seattle. Just hard no on that one. So yeah, if anybody wants in on this, shoot me an email at hello@ohhappyplants.com and let me know like your address and or even just the general area, whatever, like, strangers on the internet asking for your address. Weird, I know, but it's not like I'm gonna it's not like I have time or energy to go stalk anybody. The houseplant coach moonlighting as a stalker. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I don't care enough. Sorry, I love you guys, but I don't care enough about making people's lives miserable. That is some bullshit. Anyway, I want to come and help. I want to come and answer questions. There was a while ago, I was actually asking for people with giant monstrosities of plants, and I probably will do this eventually or potentially as part of this. Like if you have a plant that's in a freaking 14-inch pot, or even just a plant like, my Monstera right here is a really good example of preposterously overgrown nonsense mess. A plant that's a total goddamn mess. That was Drumstick's ears. I love dobies with ears. The ears are like the best part. The ears and the sass. Anyways, if you have a giant nonsense plant, like a beast of a thing, and it is a super intimidating thing to repot it, I would like to help with that eventually. I'm not making any promises for right now. It'd probably be a good idea to do that before the end of summer. But in terms of repotting things and making them look like, more contained, less of a mess, more like a nice plant, and also, oh, look, you got a new pot and now you're really happy. I know that it can be really overwhelming, and I know that some people don't even know how to do it. I see people bringing even small plants into plant stores because they don't want to screw up repotting. And let me tell you, you're not going to fucking screw it up. Like, screwing up repotting is really hard unless you've probably listened to this podcast enough so that you know to choose the right soil for the light that you have. Like, those two things are more linked than anybody ever talks about, except for me. I haven't heard anybody else talk about soil choice in terms of the light available. So if you're going to move your plant to a brighter or darker area or a hotter or cooler area, you may want to adjust the soil. But also I don't recommend doing giant, super root disruptive repots all the time either. So I think I've mentioned on here before that if you email me and your plant doesn't need to be repotted, and you're emailing me saying, I need to buy $200 worth of soil, what should I buy? Here's the situation. And I'm like, yeah, so your plant is too stressed to repot right now. Why don't you hold off and do this other stuff for a while? See how it goes. Get your plant healthy again and then repot it, instead of breaking a bunch of roots while they're already sad, making it even more stressed. I'm going to tell you to not buy my dirt if it's not appropriate, because that's, again, with the ethical business ownership, that's what we do here. But yeah, if anybody is super overwhelmed by a plant project and needs some guidance, and again, in the local Tacoma area, I guarantee you that there are at least 100 or 1,000 or potentially even 1,000,000 people out there that are also stressed by that same project that you have on your hands. And so that's why I want to do this, is come over and help some people in person so that they can know how to do it on their own. So that all those other people dealing with the same issues can feel empowered to do the same sorts of projects and also have the same information. What if a person has a massive pest issue? Yeah, let's fucking tackle that shit. And then maybe the next time I have a massive pest issue, y'all can come to my house and help me spray shit down. That would be lovely. I think I have mentioned on here many times that I had brought home a plant that had aphids, it must have been aphid eggs because I didn't see anything on it. And I do treat my plants when I bring them home, but Sean just died. And like I brought it home and then my life got turned upside down and I didn't treat everything the way I usually do. And they got out of hand. And I mean, I didn't even water anything for 2 months. Thank God it was the middle of winter. But, you know, and like dark, so less photosynthesis and all of that. But still, it was, I think there's an episode on here that's called Grief Plants. And I took pictures of the leaves that I pulled off of all of the plants, all of the dead leaves. I took pictures of that for you guys because even the people have called me the plant queen or whatever the fuck. Even I have life shit that turns me into what some people would refer to as a bad plant mom, but we're not using that terminology because I was just trying to survive myself. And the plants are like, well, we're not getting any help, but they hung on. And so I think that episode actually details like plants that are pretty bulletproof. And my God, do I love Hoyas. Let me just say, like, people ask me why I like Hoyas so much, and the number one reason is the resilience. As I'm looking at some Hoyas I need to water. Anyway, I feel like there's always a plant I need to water in this house, but isn't that just the truth? But yeah, anyway, so I had a giant aphid infestation because I got this plant and then aphids popped up right when I was dealing with all of that. And I think it was because they spread, those little motherfuckers, they spread. And like, they're really easy to kill. Like, I just, now if I see any, I just freaking squish them with my fingers and then, you know, spray the plant down a couple of times. But yeah, I think it was like March when I was like feeling so bad for all of my plants that were getting sucked dry by these little stupid vampires that I bought like, I think 2,000 ladybugs and I released them. And that did help. It definitely helped. You got to keep spraying down. I think I detailed this too. You need to keep spraying your plants down with water morning and night so there are little droplets on the leaves because the ladybugs need water. They're thirsty. Even though aphids are full of liquid, the ladybugs still need a drink. And that definitely kept them around and alive for longer. A lot of them die. A lot of them escape. And the house that I was in had tons of little cracks everywhere. So they were like able to find their way outside. And then they just go hibernate somewhere. But yeah, that was the no effort solution that I did when I was still just unable to do anything else. And I didn't actually treat everything until I got up here. I had most of my plants outside for a while and I treated them while they were outside a couple of times. But then when I brought them in, there were still aphids here and there. And so eventually I just went through and I sprayed everything down. And now it's much more managed. I do still have a couple here and there. And if you're freaking out, know the soil and the houseplants are entirely different. All the houseplants are in my house and the soil is nowhere near this. So, and also aphids don't go for dirt. They're not one of those. They like the leaves. They like the new growth. If you see little tiny bugs on your brand new growth, or if you think you have aphids, look on your new growth. That's where they're going to be. They don't like the older growth because it's harder for them to stick their little sucky mouth parts through. And I use sucky to mean both senses of the term because they're assholes. Anyway, yeah. So to recap, capitalism is stupid. Aphids are stupid. Building giant shelves that exhaust you is fun. And also, my God, was that a lot of work. And we have tree fern fiber. We're going to have a carnivorous plant blend. We're going to have a terrarium blend for specifically. Oh, I have been making a mix for a friend of mine who has a snake. What is it? A ball python, I think. And it's a different mix like to suit her needs. It's similar to the tropical climber mix, but with a whole lot more chips and also nothing that smells strongly, because apparently snakes are really sensitive to things that smell strongly. So I don't put a couple of my ingredients in there. So there's that. These things are going to be coming out and available at some point here. And also, if you need tree fern fiber, I have plenty. I wasn't selling it before because I only bought a couple bags and I needed to reserve it for my Hoya mix, but now I have plenty and I will be regularly ordering that and keeping it in stock. And I'm going to try to keep it at a lower price than what we see like on Amazon and other places, like the standard pricing for it, because I'm not buying little tiny bags and reselling them. I'm repackaging from big bags. And so I'm thinking I'll be able to keep the price down so that it's not so crazy expensive, because some of these things, man, like I see it going for like $13, $14, $15 per quart. And that's just kind of ridiculous. And I get that it's, it's shipped far and all of that. And I do participate in carbon buyback in case anybody is worried about shipping stuff from New Zealand. I do calculate the weight of what I get shipped up here and all the way from New Zealand and then to my supplier and then from my supplier to here. And I do carbon buyback to offset the fuel used. So if you're ever wondering about like how is Oh Happy Plants soil carbon neutral, that's the way that I go about that. I do that for the cocoa. I do that for all my big ingredients. All the bulky stuff that's super heavy, and if I ever get other really heavy things, then I do that too, like my rock dusts and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, the main announcement today is about sorry, I am very uncoffeed. The main announcement is about the video things, and I will need folks to sign a video release. We will be able to set up in an area of your home, and you can bring the plants to me that you want to talk about. You don't even necessarily need to be on camera. It would be great if you could be, if you were comfortable with that. Even if it's just, we could have mostly the camera focused on the plant, but just to say hi, it would be good. It would be nice for folks to see who's talking at them, but yeah, we'll figure it out. And I'm super flexible with like people's comfort zone in terms of showing your house on camera. If there are areas where we need to talk about lighting and, how you have your plants set up and stuff like that, then I will need to show a whole area in terms of like how clean does your house need to be for you to feel comfortable with this shit going on YouTube. I want to be sensitive to folks, and also for practicality's sake, if we're going to be talking about, a whole area set up with light and everything, then maybe tidy up that room and then we can get good shots so people can see what we're talking about. But yeah, this is in the works. Email me if you want to be included. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to get to everybody, obviously, because time limitations. I'm hoping to eventually set up to do one a week or even more than that. But I'm waiting to see how much help I'll have, because I'm hoping to have a camera woman come along with me and manage shots and, so just an extra sounding board sort of a situation, some assistance with everything so I don't have to manage it all myself. Anyway, yeah, let's have a plant party at your house. That is all for now. I'm going to get back to working through this book and petting my puppy dog. I'm going to go open the door for him so he can sniff out the front door and see if there are any puppies walking past. Drumstick says hi, by the way. And I will post a picture of my giant shelf with Drumstick for scale as the podcast thumbnail. Have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend, and happy summer to all the people with kiddos out there, because Silas is done with school and we are done waking up at 6 a.m. every day, which is pretty exciting for a little while at least. Right, Drumstick? Yeah. Okay. Have a good day, guys.